Hello? Hello? Oh, can no one hear me again? Oh, wait, my micro. Oh, wait, there you go. Can anyone hear me? Miko! I can't stream anymore. I did. It's not. It says it doesn't work anymore. There's sound. Okay, it's working. Okay, you can hear me. Can you see me? So now they can't see me. I'm so confused. Wait, you can hear me? Okay, but can you see me? I'm so confused. Okay, yes, you can see me. You can hear me and you can see me. Oh my god, okay. Thank goodness. Honestly, I feel like every time that I go live, I just have bad luck. I don't know if it's the millennial in me that just can't figure this out or what, but I'm so glad that you guys can finally hear me and see me. I've been able to see myself the whole time, sadly, but so anyways, hello everybody. Happy, what day is it? God, it's Thursday. Happy Thursday. I hope everyone had a good Labor Day weekend. It was really nice to, oh, there's a bit of an echo. Oh no. What if I turn this down a little bit? Reload your page. I'm not on a page. I'm actually on OBS Studio. So I don't know what that's about or why. Oh, audio input. Wait, I'm going to turn this thing down and tell me if the echo changes. Okay. Does that sound better? Can you guys still hear me when I turn down? Okay. I'm good. Okay, so you guys can still hear me. Oh, Lord. I guess I had the audio input from my laptop at the same time as the mic. So, yeah, I think that's maybe what it was. Anyways, I hope you all had a good Labor Day weekend. It was wonderful to wake up this morning because Danny Masterson was convicted. That the survivor in me is currently thriving after hearing that news because let's just say that survivors rarely get any type of justice. And so when we witness not just one survivor, well, unfortunately, it was only two that he got convictions for, but let's just say three. I still think the third one would say that it was a day of justice for those victims. So let's get into. Well, should I wait for a few more people to come into the chat? Does anyone have any questions diving into this before we begin? I feel like I'm just catching up on Danny, honestly, because last year I was, protesting so much. And I know in January, that's when the trial really began. And I wasn't able to fully keep up with it because I was pregnant and really in the thick of that pregnancy. And so today I spent more time diving into it and really trying to figure out all of the details. But do you guys have any questions going into it? What do you guys have to say about today's conviction? Oh, thank you guys. Yeah, I completely agree. I think he definitely got what he deserved. Also, Scientology. I'm really interested in seeing what ends up happening with the civil suit that apparently is about to happen with the third survivor. I think she's no longer a Jane Doe 3. I think she ended up saying her full name. So I'm very curious to see what ends up happening to Scientology because Scientology definitely was complicit, in my opinion, when it came to the cover up of Danny Masterson. And, I don't know if anyone knows this, but, Eat Predators isn't just about the predators. We also really want to shine a light on the enablers and these institutions that enable these, SA, R word, etc., because I really don't think these predators would be able to thrive the way that they do if they didn't have this these huge monoliths, these corporations, etc., who actually help clean up, help cover up their crimes. And I mean, I saw that time and time again with the music industry. I mean, that's what really got me started with Eat Predators. You know, first it was, I'm going to give you a little Alexa story here, but I have to because it's all connected. But what really got me started with Eat Predators was at first, when I first really started to comprehend what had happened to me with my abuser, I was just so focused on that. I was focused on my own personal justice, healing journey. And that was it. That's all I could see. That was all I could feel. And then when I got into litigation against my abuser, by the way, his name is Michael Milosh of Rye. I'm not sure if anybody knows who he is, but that's who he is. And so when I got into litigation with him, about halfway through, I ended up finding out that this is so crazy. I can't believe I'm going into this right now. But basically, there was a stipulated judgment. And a stipulated judgment happens when you are getting a divorce from your husband or your wife. And when leading up to the divorce, I wanted to get a lawyer. I wanted to have a lawyer, obviously, because I, A, didn't trust him, and B, it's always smart to have a lawyer when you're signing contracts or when you're in the middle of anything that has to do with, the justice system, and so even family law especially. And so I wanted to get a lawyer, and he would not let me. That's when the post-separation abuse happened. And I kept trying to get a lawyer. He told me he was going to make me disappear. Yeah. He told me he was going to make me disappear. He said that I wouldn't get any alimony if I were to get a lawyer. And he threatened me left and right. And I was in such a fragile financial situation. I was a nanny at the time. I was a nanny for twins. And I was working my butt off doing that. And I could barely make ends meet. And so I wasn't really in a situation where I could stand up to him because he was giving me a very small amount monthly so that I could cover the rest of my rent, basically. And so he kept threatening me. And then, eventually he coerced me into getting a mediator. Now, here's the thing with mediators. What I learned is that mediators aren't necessarily not biased. Especially when they are hired by an individual from the party and not both parties agreeing to the mediator. And so guess who introduced us to our mediator? Red Light Management, his management team. Now, Red Light Management is huge. They own Live Nation, Ticketmaster. Everyone knows how great those guys are. Not at all. So Red Light Management introduces us to our mediator. And I'm in such a horrible situation that I go, okay, as long as there's a mediator, I'm thinking that this person's going to be looking out for both of us, for both of our best interests. So anyways, I go into the mediation. We come up with an agreement. And we put it onto paper. And it was basically like $2,000 something a month for 14 months or whatever of alimony. Both of us go our separate ways. We keep our furniture, et cetera, et cetera. Very boring. Fast forward, she sends me a stipulated judgment, which I asked her, what is this? And she said, it's basically just what you guys agreed upon in the mediation meeting. And so I went, okay, as long as it's only what we agreed upon. And I looked at it. It was like 20, 30 something pages in all this legal language. And again, I did not have access to a lawyer because he would not allow me to. So I just was like, okay, this seems like this is okay. Like I remember what I agreed to and a mediator wouldn't change anything. Anyways, fast forward while I'm in the middle of my lawsuit, I get told that in that stipulated judgment that was brought to me by Red Light Management, that I released myself of all claims when it came to child SA. And it was in a really strange section of the stipulated judgment, like in the creditors and debt section. Like you could so easily miss it on purpose. And no one told me that that was in there. So when I got that call from my lawyer, that's when my whole world turned upside down. I realized that it wasn't just the predators that were a problem, but it was the enablers that really allow these predators to get away with what they're doing. So when I heard about, that's a short story of the whole thing, but it had a huge impact on me. And that's when I really shifted and I started to protest, Warner Music Group and Sony. I started going to the institutions because girls and tons of survivors started to message me saying that the record labels were making these survivors sign NDAs. And I was like, wait, the record label is a part of the cover-up? Blew my mind. And so that's what really got me into the streets, honestly, and really kind of created Eat Predators. And when it comes to Danny here, it seems like Scientology was doing the exact same thing, which is really not surprising to me, whatsoever, especially not after a year of looking into all of this. I have definitely come to realize that these institutions, these corporations, are helping these predators get away with their crimes. They're complicit. So yeah, that's just a little backstory on what started Eat Predators. And it was honestly a very heartbreaking experience for me because, it's one thing when you think you're going up against one person, but then when you realize there's this monolith, there's this huge, monolith of power that you're going up against, it really changes everything for you. So anyways, I wanted to go into Danny now. Let's pull up. I'm learning with you guys, honestly. I haven't been able to look into all of this yet because I have a newborn. So let's just take this journey together and let's look at the Rolling Stone article. Everyone knows Rolling Stone. Not my favorite, but let's just start there. Let's see here. Okay. What do we have here? Wow, you got a venti, iced, cold coffee there. All right, wait, is that who's the woman next to him? Is that his lawyer or does anyone know who that woman is there? Is he married? Oh, I'm ahead of you guys. So I'm like waiting for you guys to respond, but I'm actually a little bit ahead of everybody. Okay, so I didn't know he was married. Interesting. I wonder what's the story there. That's another surprising thing for me is, a lot of these predators, or not a lot of them, but I know a few that have a spouse that's staying with them throughout these trials, these accusations, lawsuits, etc., which is very peculiar because, well, I guess actually let me go full screen. Honestly, we have to think when someone's a bad predator, they're extremely manipulative. So their spouse is probably being manipulated. You know what I mean? I doubt that she actually thinks, I don't know. I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt because I just know how manipulative these predators can be. And so I'm just trying to give her the benefit of the doubt and think, maybe she's just so deeply under his spell that she can't come out of it. I don't know. But it's always really, really jarring for me when I see anyone standing next to these abusers. You're like, what the heck is this? So anyways, let's get into this article. All right. Danny Masterson was sentenced Thursday to 30 years to life in prison after being found guilty in May of 2 counts of forcible R. Just going to give an applause because that just is a great, it's a sad sentence, but it's a great sentence to hear, honestly, these days. The That 70s Show actor faced 30 years in prison on the 2 convictions, the verdict of which came in the second R trial against Masterson after the jury deadlocked in his first trial, resulting in a mistrial. Crazy. Masterson was charged with 3 counts of forcible R, but the jury was unable to come to an unanimous decision on the 3rd count. Wow, okay. Following impact statements from the 3 victims, Masterson's lawyer notified the court that the actor opted not to make his own statement prior to sentencing. Oh, God. He's trying to be like, I'm just going to stay silent and look like poor me. Okay, here comes the first, I guess, one of the victims here. When you R'd me, you stole from me. That's what R is, a theft of the spirit. Wow, that is extremely sadly true. I felt that deeply, honestly. That's exactly what it feels like. It feels like a whole collected bunch of you got pulled out of you and just like left you there empty, pretty much. And so I definitely can relate to this survivor's statement here. One of the victims said during impact statements, "You are pathetic, disturbed, and completely violent. The world is better off with you in prison." Oh, my phone's going off. Yeah, I have no disagreements here. I don't think anybody in the chat has any disagreements with that either. After the judge denied the defense's request for a new and third trial, Masterson's lawyers asked that the 2 sentences be concurrent instead of consecutive. However, the judge disagreed, sentencing the 47-year-old disgraced actor to prison for the next 3 decades and potentially beyond. Mr. Masterson, I know that you're sitting here steadfast in your claims of innocence and thus no doubt feeling victimized by a justice system that has failed you, Judge Charlene Almedo said during sentencing. But Mr. Masterson, you are not the victim here. Your actions 20 years ago took away another person's voice and choice. Your actions 20 years ago were criminal, and that is why you are here. Woo! Oh my God, that judge is amazing. You know how many times I've wanted to just say those words to so many alleged predators? Because that's the thing, is that they really use these Darvo tactics, and they really make themselves look kind of as though they're the victim here. And then the survivor is the bad guy, is the one trying to ruin their life. And it's like, that's so the opposite of what's happening there. And it's just so disgusting. I mean, we see it time and time again. And what did Danny say when he was first accused? Before he was convicted? I bet he denied it. I bet he probably called survivors a bunch of names, like ridiculous. And he probably was saying, I'm going to be clearing my name in this trial. And here we are, where this judge was like, you know what? No. You are not the victim here. And that's something for allies out there, is to keep that judge's spirit up, because that's really the energy that we need. That survivors need. It's like, no. You are not the victim here. And they're not doing something to you that made you in this situation. You did it to yourself. That was a crime you committed and you decided to do. And that's why you are in the situation that you are in, not because of them. And that's just, honestly, that judge is amazing for saying that. I'm a fan of that judge right now, because I want to say that to so many people. So to see that judge be able to say that to Danny is just pretty amazing. Okay, so the May 31st verdict following a month-long trial of emotional testimony from the three women. Oh, wait, sorry. Let me pull it back up. Where were we? Whose allegations are linked to the charges we're calling violent allegations that Masterson drugged them before R-ing them. The victims also claim that the Church of Scientology protected Masterson and discouraged them from coming forward with their allegations. Wow. Wow. We want to express our gratitude to the three women who came forward and bravely shared their experiences. Their courage and strength have been an inspiration to us all. District Attorney George Gasson, God, I'm horrible at last names, said in a statement after the guilty verdict, "While we are disappointed that the jury did not convict on all counts, we respect their decision. The verdicts handed down by the jury in this case were undoubtedly a difficult one to reach, and we thank the jurors for their service." The Church of Scientology was a major topic throughout the trial. Masterson is a prominent Scientologist, and all of the women who accused him are former members of the organization. The woman told the court that the organization had told them that they couldn't have been R'd, and going to the authorities could lead to severe repercussions. Whoa. And they also threatened these survivors from the church. So not only did they tell them not to go, they threatened them that if they did go, then there would be repercussions. That's basically like Michael Milosh, you know, same thing. If I went to get a lawyer, there'd be repercussions. He was like, you're not going to get the nice version of me anymore, or something like that. It's like, wow. So not only are you telling them not to do it, but you're threatening them. That's just absolutely disgusting. Okay, where was I? Representatives for the organization have denied the claims, calling them fabrications. Yeah, isn't that what Danny said in the beginning before he was convicted for 30 years? I'm just saying, all of these God, I want to cuss sometimes, and I know in live you really can't. But these, I'm going to say it, assholes. These assholes literally always say they didn't do it. That's all they have. While the victim, the survivor, will come with evidence, with details of their trauma, of what happened to them. I mean, visual details. And then the predator or the enabler literally just goes, I didn't do it. Oh, that's a fabrication. Oh, it's not real. And then the world just goes, okay. Meanwhile, the survivor is doing all of the emotional labor to try and tell the world what happened to them. And it's never enough. You know, even without the evidence, you can hear a survivor and they have just, they can articulate. Maybe sometimes not all of it, but they can articulate a lot. And you hear them be so brave in doing that. And they go unheard. They just go totally unheard. And then you have the predator or the enabler just say a one line, oh, you know, she's crazy, they're crazy, it didn't happen. And the world just kind of moves on. And that person continues to work with more access to more victims. And it's just so wild. It's really wild to me. It's the same thing over and over again. It was a fabrication, liar, you know, whatever. It's pretty triggering. I really hate those words. Okay, Masterson also faces a civil suit from the accusers that was scheduled to go to trial following the criminal proceedings. The third Jane Doe accuser, who previously publicly identified herself as Chrissy Carnell Bixler. Oh, okay, we got to look her up. Wife of Mars Volta's Cedric Bixler Zavala. Who is that? Who is she married to? That is a wild name. Expressed her disappointment that the jury didn't convict him on the charges tied to her allegations, but similarly said she hopes to find justice in the civil trial. I hope you do too. I thank the jury for its service, and while I'm encouraged that Danny Masterson will face some criminal punishment, I am devastated that he has dodged criminal accountability for his heinous conduct against me, she said. Despite my disappointment in this outcome, I remain determined to secure justice, including in civil court, where I, along with my co-plaintiffs, will shine a light on how Scientology and other conspirators enabled and sought to cover up Masterson's monstrous behavior. Wow, sorry I didn't have that pulled up there, but wow. I am very curious to see what this civil suit is like, because from my own personal experience, when you try to sue a corporation, it's almost pretty much impossible. And so I'm pretty curious to see what ends up happening there, if they're able to actually get far enough into the civil suit where Scientology either stays as a defendant. I'm not sure what the civil suit entails, but it would be really wonderful to see an institution finally be held accountable for their enabling of these predators' crimes. I mean, I would just live for the day to see that, because that's honestly the hardest part. Like with Base Nectar, for example, the plaintiffs tried to sue Red Light Management for things that I cannot say here on YouTube, horrific things. And of course, Red Light, slides on by, and we're not able to see the discovery of that process. But, it's really impossible most of the time to get these corporations, these institutions in these lawsuits. I saw it with Red Light. And so I'm hopeful, and very curious to see what ends up happening there, because we all know that, I don't know, from what I've heard about Scientology, it just seems like a very scary, culty place where bad things happen, honestly. I mean, I don't know if anyone's seen the HBO documentary years and years ago, but I remember seeing it and it was horrifying. Like the stories that these victims were, talking about were just out of this world. You couldn't even believe that these things were happening and being covered up in the ways that they were. So Danny Masterson, 30 years in prison. And what's sad about it is, if I read correctly, I think these crimes happened 20 years ago. And look how long it took, to get justice. So that means this trauma, obviously it's going to be in their body, unfortunately, possibly for their entire life. But 20 years of waiting, to witness some type of justice. And I wonder how many years it took for them to come forward, because, there's so many stages to the healing journey for a survivor. You have to also get up the courage to come forward about it. First, you have to process it, then tell somebody, then maybe go to authorities. I mean, it just goes on. And then you get hopeful, for justice. But most of the time, it unfortunately doesn't happen for a survivor. The justice system is really stacked against the survivor in a way, through statutes, through the patriarchy, just misogyny, sexism, and look, these institutions that have all this power and money to make these things go away. So, 20 years, and then here we are. So predators out there, if you're watching Eat Predators Daily, which I'm sure you're not, this is not a show for you to be a part of. You're not welcome here. But if you happen to be watching, it might not be today, and it might not be tomorrow, and it might not be this week, and it might not be next week. You get the whole thing I'm getting at. But it will happen. There is a high chance that with time, you will be exposed for your crimes. And I just kind of wanted to say that, because it also makes me feel a little bit better to say that out loud, because constantly it feels like that's just not going to happen. And so with Danny, it's giving me a little bit of confidence here to say that it might take 20 years, but at least it happened. It did happen. And look at R. Kelly, same thing. wait for far too long. And the music industry was totally covering up for him and protecting him as well. And even with all that cover up and all of that protection and all of that money, yeah, even with all of that money, guess what? In jail. So, yeah, predators might not be today or tomorrow, but your day could be coming soon or a little bit later, but it will come. All right. What else do I want to look at? Oh, you know what? Yeah, I do want to mention this. So remember Marty? Do you guys remember Marty Singer? Anyone remember Marty Singer? So Marty Singer was the lawyer for, Bill Cosby, Danny Masterson, and he was also the lawyer for Jonah Hill. And when I came forward about Jonah Hill, Marty Singer thought it was okay to try and throw darts my way. And he just said the most ridiculous statement about me basically being someone who has been abused by multiple people in the entertainment industry, as if that was so hard for his little tiny brain to compute, when most of his roster are a bunch of men in this industry being accused of exactly what I can't say here on YouTube. And so, yeah. So he said that about me. He basically made it that if I am a multiple time survivor, that means that I'm not telling the truth. Which, by the way, there's so much stigma around being a multiple time survivor that I was even afraid of coming forward about more than one person because of just that, exactly what Marty Singer tried to fear me, into again, which is, a survivor's experience is invalid if it happened more than once by more than one person. And it's so strange because even if it was only one person that has essayed me, for example, I would still be considered a liar. Marty Singer still would have tried to paint me as somebody who wasn't telling the truth, right? And then now you add the new layer that there's multiple predators in the industry that I have encountered, and then that's also used against me. So, I mean, I wouldn't win either way with Marty. I wouldn't. But it just goes to show you, what a jerk Marty Singer is. And so Marty Singer apparently was the lawyer for Danny Masterson and apparently was part of making one of his victims sign an NDA to silence her. And that's why, with e-predators, we really went to these institutions asking them, how many NDAs? How many? Because these institutions are the ones that are complicit in the silencing factor of these victims. And I saw it firsthand. I have messages upon messages, and I have friends upon friends, survivors within the music industry that were not only silenced by their, abuser, but they were silenced by the company that is making money off of them, essentially. And so anyways, I do want to read a little bit about this NDA situation just to let the viewers know why sometimes it takes so long to get justice or to see these predators convicted is because so many of these victims end up silenced, bullied into signing their voices away. So let's get into the article about the NDA. Here we go. Danny Masterson paid $400,000 to silence our accuser with NDA, jury hears. Oh, wait, who's this guy? Honestly, this guy actually looks he's like what's his name? Sodomon, whatever, in Lord of the Rings, the evil guy in Lord of the Rings. That's what this guy looks like. This guy actually looks pretty familiar because this lawyer was the lawyer for Bill Cosby. Yeah, that's right. Bill Cosby. And let's just look over here really quickly and see what I found on this lawyer. Here's Bill Cosby. There's his lawyer. Oh my God. Wow. Look what we have here. What a professional looking lawyer on his knees right there. Yeah, I don't even know what to say about this photo, but that's Danny Masterson's lawyer. And that's Bill Cosby's lawyer, and Michael Jackson's apparently as well. So yeah. No comment. No comment. I'm not going to say anything, but I think we should all just be aware of this is what he is up to when he's not in the courtroom next to a convicted R word. So yeah, anyways, let's go back to him here in a suit, looking a little bit more professional. Danny Masterson bought the silence of one of his our accusers by getting her to sign a $400,000 non-disclosure agreement, NDA, she told a court on Wednesday. The woman giving her testimony under the name Jen B said she was given the choice to sign the NDA or risk being excommunicated from the Scientology faith that she and Masterson shared. Oh my God, so here's Scientology being part of this NDA, part of the silencing of this poor survivor. Oh my God. Earlier in the day, the accuser, the first of three to take the stand, had described how Masterson brutally R-ed her in 2003 and how she had avoided speaking with her Scientology superiors about it. However, around a year later, she claimed Scientology officials gave her a choice. Either sign an NDA about her encounter with Masterson or risk being excommunicated and labeled as a suppressive. My life would be over, she testified. My parents would have to disconnect from me. I had a daughter in school. I wouldn't be able to work with my parents. I wouldn't know where to go. My parents would also be labeled. Their company, the people who worked for them, family and friends, and everyone they've known since 1972. You have to choose your fate. And I didn't know if they would choose me over that. Ugh, this guy. Disgusting. I can't stand Danny Masterson. Look, he looks, he makes my skin crawl. The fine print of the agreement wasn't revealed in court, but lawyers for Jen B said Masterson was supposed to pay the entire amount of the settlement within the year. Meanwhile, Jen B agreed she would not damage his reputation and affect his future earnings. Yeah, let's protect their careers. That's what they want. Protect their careers. Silence the victim. And that's it. That's what they do over and over and over and over and over and over again. Over and over and over again. Meanwhile, Jen B, if she broke the agreement, she was to pay $200,000 per violation. Whoa. Wait a minute. Hold on. This asshole not only has the nerve to silence his victim, but also puts in there that if you violate the non-disclosure agreement. So if one day you wake up and you go, I want to tell the authorities what happened to me because it's a crime. If one day you wake up and that becomes your decision, she's going to be violated for your crime. Am I hearing this right, or is my brain broken? Did I just read that properly? That for his crime, if she tells on his crime, she gets a violation of $200,000 that she has to pay. So she gets put into debt for telling the authorities or telling somebody that he committed a crime. A crime. I mean, the fact that that's even real. And you know what it reminds me of? Guess who it reminds me of? Diplo. Good old Diplo. Does anyone remember the TMZ article about his arbitration award and how they spun that and how they tried to make the public believe that he won a lawsuit that was actually about, the essay, etc. But really it was about pretty much a similar situation where allegedly this survivor just wasn't allowed to talk about him, and he wasn't allowed to talk about her for a specific certain period of time, and either directly or indirectly. And so the minute she, mentioned him directly or indirectly, or didn't even mention him at all, he could just say that it felt like it was directed at him. He brought her into arbitration and got an award for that. $1.2 million now sits on Shelley's head. A survivor, allegedly. And this is just really sounding, for me, in my opinion, very similar, where a survivor is essentially gagged, like silenced, and if she decides one day to speak about a crime that was done against her, she has to pay up. And then it gets told, here, let's look it up really quickly. I just want to show people how this ended up. Look at this. Look at the headlines here. Okay. Diplo arbitration, right? Diplo awarded $1.2 million in ruling amidst Diplo awarded $1.2 million arbitration against woman. Diplo wins $1.2 million in revenge, P and harassment. Arbitrator rules in favor of Diplo. Diplo wins. Diplo wins. Look at how this. First of all, also, this was supposed to be arbitration, by the way, is confidential. No one should know about the arbitration, right? It's supposed to be extremely confidential. It's also super gross, in my opinion, arbitration, because there's no there's no judge jury situation. There's no jury. There's just a retired judge, and she apparently gets paid, or he gets paid like $14,000 a day to sit there and, whatever, be friends with the lawyer that's the one paying them, and then come up with some type of ruling. I don't even know if it's called ruling. I don't even know. Arbitration feels like a set. It feels to me like it's just not even real. I don't even get what arbitration is. It's so archaic, and it's so for the person in the position of power. I mean, you Google anything about arbitration, there's not much good things to say about it. And so just look at what ends up happening in the Diplo situation. If you were to Google that and you just see Diplo wins, Diplo wins, Diplo wins, you're going to think that that was the lawsuit that he was in, right? You're not going to realize that it's the arbitration that they're referring to, and that the arbitration has nothing to do with the civil suits at all. It was just about an agreement that they made so that they didn't talk about one another for a certain amount of time. And look how it gets spun. And you look what ends up happening to this alleged, reported survivor. $1.2 million judgment. Are we okay with that? I mean, are we okay with that? Are we okay with that as a society? I'm not. I don't feel good about that whatsoever. That in my opinion really freaks me out, and it freaks me out for my daughter's future, my son's future. It's really, really deeply upsetting that a potential victim of SA can be put into a situation where she owes the person who abused her just for speaking up. I mean, I just want that to sink in. This is all in my own opinion and allegedly, but let's say that, the allegations that she's saying did happen, right? And then now she's the one with a $1.2 million judgment on her head. And so it's supposed to be confidential, but somehow Somehow the arbitration details get leaked. By who? Well, in my opinion, the way that it's looking, let's look at this. In these headlines, it seems a little bit too, it just looks like it's in his favor, doesn't it? I mean, awarded. It just feels just strange to me. You know, a win for me and my family, he says. Yeah. Rub it in. But yeah, so that's just upsetting when you think about Danny, for example, here with his $200,000 per violation. I just can't help but think about the episode I just did with Shelly. If anyone hasn't watched that yet, I definitely recommend you watching it. She goes into a little bit of the details about her arbitration experience. And it just breaks my heart as a survivor, as a mom, you know, to even think that this is possible in 2023, that we live in a world where it's possible for a reported survivor to have to owe their alleged abuser, you know, money for directly or indirectly talking about them. So look at what ended up happening to Danny. So it started there with his little NDAs, and now he's 30 years in prison. So yeah, let's continue this NDA story. Sorry for the tangent, but we did have somebody recently on the show, and I just want to cross-reference that because it really did remind me of the arbitration situation. Oh, here's Marty Singer coming right up. If she broke the agreement, she was to pay $200,000 per violation. She testified about how she went to sign the documents at the Beverly Hills office of high-powered celebrity attorney Marty Singer. Wow, Marty, you are a turtle. He is a human turtle. That's okay. But I wish he was a good human turtle and not a bad human. Sorry. Bad human turtle. This is my mom brain now is starting to melt as I go through all of this, so bear with me. So apparently she was given until 6 p.m. that day to sign the agreement, she claims. So he gave her like till 6 p.m. Like, yeah, right, Marty. Like if she brought it in the morning, you're literally getting your client to get away with everything that he did, these crimes that he did. And you think we actually believe that you were going to give her till 6 p.m., bro? Like, come on. If she gave it in the morning, like what was going to happen if she didn't give it by 6 p.m.? What were you going to do, Marty? Like go back in your turtle shell? Like, I don't understand. Like what's the repercussions for her not getting it in by 6 p.m.? Like they would have turned that NDA down later. That is such a joke. Sorry, that's ridiculous, Marty. You're ridiculous. Jen B claimed that when presented with the batch of documents, Singer allegedly instructed her not to touch the pages and only to sign it. Oh my God, Marty allegedly did this? So he not only gave her till 6 p.m. only, but when she was signing the documents, he would not let her read what she was signing or touch it. I mean, isn't that a crime too? Like, I don't think you can coerce somebody into signing documents they haven't read. I mean, I don't know, guys, but that sounds like something that should be illegal. And here's Marty, a lawyer in Beverly Hills. Good old Beverly Hills, doing this. I mean, he is a bad human turtle. He is horrendous, in my opinion. She did, however, remember seeing the name David Duncan on the document, which was Masterson's code name. He had a code name. Wait. He had a code name? Why is the code name David Duncan? Okay. The NDA signing came a year after she allegedly was AR'd. She reported the R to her Scientology superiors. God, this is just... Oh my God. However, in 2004, around a year after the incident, Gem B did report it to the LAPD. When the LAPD contacted high ranking church members about the incident, she says they became irate, with one telling her, "Yeah, you are F. You have no idea how effed you are." Wow, she claimed. Soon after, she was handed the NDA to sign. Asked what she was afraid of, she said, "I broke that NDA about 50 times. I'm supposed to just tell you Mr. Duncan and I had a disagreement and we resolved it." Scientology has previously said it is inappropriate to comment on a pending criminal matter regarding the Masterson case. Wow, this church is so deeply upsetting to me. I feel like maybe I should be protesting Scientology. Like maybe that's something that E-Predators has to go and do, and just like roll up and protest Scientology, because this is deeply upsetting. These victims were trying to come forward, and allegedly Scientology was silencing them, getting them to sign NDAs, threatening them, coercing them, etc. I mean, this is just a horrendous story. It is shocking, actually, how Danny Masterson did get convicted today. It looks like all the cards were stacked up against his survivors in a way that I've never, I mean, what am I saying? Never seen before. I have seen it, but this is really, really intense. And it's shocking to me, actually, that he was convicted today. Like, what? That's unbelievable. It's truly, I'm very happy about today, especially after reading what he was doing to make sure that he could keep his career and keep his reputation. Wow. Okay. So I guess we kind of went into Danny Masterson as much as we could for today. I feel like I've honestly heard enough about this guy, and I'm just really happy that he is convicted, and we don't have to worry about him on the streets anywhere. Potential victims are a little bit more safe today. One predator's in prison, but sadly there are a lot more out there, right, that are getting away with their crimes and using institutions to cover up and silence their victims. And yeah, that needs to change. I'm trying in my little way to create some type of change, or at least some type of awareness about these things, but it's going to take us a lot more. You know, we're going to have to, this justice system is corrupt, honestly, and it's not usually working for survivors. This is a very odd case today. And as astounding as it is, it still makes me sad that there are so many survivors out there right now watching and being like, that didn't happen for me, right? And I didn't get that justice. My abuser did get off, and or the police never even investigated, my case, or never even brought my abuser into the police station, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And there are survivors that are no longer here. And so it's just good to remember, though, it was a very positive day for survivors. It was also probably a very triggering day for survivors as well, those that did not and have not gotten any type of justice. And so let's be mindful for all the survivors out there that you don't have to be like, yay, like, this is so amazing. I know everyone's like, Danny, because I'm a survivor, I got messaged from everybody in the world, like, look, Danny got convicted. And I must admit that a side of me was so happy for these survivors that are getting justice today, that got justice today. But also, it's sad, because I didn't get that from the police officers, even with the stack of evidence that I had. They just ghosted me, the police, right? And I know that happens for so many survivors. So maybe check in with a survivor today. Instead of sending the Danny thing, maybe ask them how they're feeling today. I don't know what made me say that, but that just came to my mind because I did feel both of those emotions. So I'm sure there's a lot of survivors out there maybe feeling the same way as me, where you're like, yay, yay. And of course you're happy for those survivors, like ecstatic for those survivors. But then also you're like, I wish I was able to get that justice too. And so maybe reach out to a survivor today and see how they're doing. Check in with them. Ask them if there's anything you can do to support them. I just think that would be a smart move to make, because these things are complex, right? And survivors, we get triggered, and we hide a lot of our triggers, honestly. And so you might not even know, a survivor is feeling triggered right now. So reach out to one, let them know you care about them. Ask them if they need any type of support, if they want to celebrate about Danny, or if they want to cry about their own, and let them feel that either way or both is accepted and valid. Now, coming up on the 14th, I have some interesting news. I am going to go live about DMs. DMs. Anyone remember the Brandon Quinn, Justin Long episode? Where they were the ghosts, the Snapchat ghosts. Well, there's a third ghost, and allegedly a third ghost, and his name is Diplo. And I got sent these alleged DMs with a 15-year-old girl where he says her age, allegedly. And not only that, so I'm not going to say anything right now because we have to really go into it. And I want to pull up the alleged evidence. And I'm also going to be interviewing this girl who is now a woman. And she is brave enough to come forward on my show with these conversations and tell us about her personal experience with Diplo when she was 15 years old, allegedly. She's bringing her ID along, so we're going to look at her ID and look at the date and do all the math. And so, yeah, that's going to be a really wild live, just because for me, we've heard these rumors, these allegations for a long time. And when I got sent this, it was I didn't like reading what I read. It was disturbing, to say the least, just because she's a child and he was allegedly an old man. And so, yeah, I'm just very inspired by her. And she's so smart, wonderful, wonderful woman. And I'm looking forward to having you all meet her and get all of the information from her that she feels comfortable with revealing to us. So that will be September 14th. I hope to see you guys there. And again, thank you so much for being part of this live while I figure it out. Hopefully I get better and better at it, or not. But thank you so much for bearing with me and being part of this. And again, don't forget to reach out to a survivor, or if you are a survivor, give yourself a big hug today and maybe take a nice bath, or anything that you like to do. Dance, I don't know. Something that makes you feel good today. You deserve it. So thank you guys, and have a wonderful rest of your night. And I will see you September